John, you talk about responsibilities, and everybody's discussed that, and certainly that's a cornerstone of this conference. And there was a story last week in Bloomberg's Business Week, and it sort of goes to debunking the old-time myth that you can't do well and do good at the same time. GE's got a lot of products that are geared to help people, but you, as the vice chairman of a public company, also have a responsibility to shareholders. How do you find that middle ground to ensure that you're doing what's appropriate for the future of General Electric Corporation, but also for the other constituencies, your shareholders, your coworkers in the community?
Well, some of it we do because we know it's the right thing to do. I mean, we spend $1 billion a year on leadership training and development. You can't really do an internal rate of return on that investment. We know it's smart to develop the next generation of leaders. And I think some of this falls into that basket where to be a global citizen, to be recognized in this country and in 100 other countries as a company that can contribute, you have to do this. But what's even more powerful is when we unleash 300,000 employees to do what they want to do, and they create the opportunities locally. And some 90,000 of our 300,000 employees volunteered last year, and they don't do it because they have a gun at their head. They don't do it because they think it's the only way they're going to keep their job. They do it because they want to make a difference at the local level. And I know that's true at Twitter. I know that's true at JP Morgan Chase. That's the power of this. So it's a little bit about organizing a company in a way that delivers the best return for your shareholders, which at the end of the day is what we have to do to keep going, right? So if we don't deliver long-term returns for our shareholders, at some point the game stops. This is such a powerful movement in our company that it kind of transcends any traditional economic payback calculation.
The World Expo is going on right now in Shanghai. I believe you were there a couple of weeks ago. And GE introduced some new products, one of which was, I saw on TV in a story last week called Visible You. And you obviously know a lot better than I do, but it's an imaging system that can show the whole body, and it's non-intrusive. And I was struck by the positive benefits of such new technology, but also how this is a new product of GE. So once again, when you come out with a product like that, that's really going to help people. It's going to help them stay healthy. It's going to help them solve the personal challenges they have. But also it's got to make money. Where's the balance in that discussion?
Well, it's actually a good example of a big shift in our healthcare business. We spent a lot of years developing next generation technology that was more sophisticated, higher definition screening, and a lot of technology, but required by a smaller and smaller percentage of the population. So you get to the highest definition stuff, and it's 0.1 or 0.2% of the population would actually ever need that. There was a realization a few years ago that we were missing a big part of the market. There's 1.5 billion people in this world that don't have access to affordable health care, and we've been reading about the 30 or 40 million here in the United States. There's a bunch in other countries, and that led us to develop technologies like a portable ultrasound, which we now have available in, I think, 10 or 15 countries, but it's soon going to be available in most of the countries where we do business, which lets you, it's a little bit bigger than an iPod with a transducer, and you can go into a rural village in India or China or Wyoming and give a fetal screen to a pregnant woman who wouldn't have a chance to have one otherwise. And that's a headset change for us in recognition that spending all your time developing higher-end equipment, while you have to lead in technology, so a little bit of that's important, there needs to be a shift toward access and affordability at a different segment of the market.
Thank you. Let me ask a few general questions, then once again, we'll open it up to those of you in the audience in a moment or two. We have two international corporations. We have a service now that is offered around the world. And volunteering, the whole notion of service, was always thought of as uniquely American. Frank, what are you seeing in other countries where JP Morgan Chase does business? Are they catching up to us in their desire, their goals to also want to help those in their communities?
Oh, I think very much so. I think if you go around the world now, you would see that many of our locations have volunteerism programs, have service programs, and that the idea of being able to give back in communities. And I don't believe, I used to think years ago, it was, part of it was driven by being a bank and you sit in a community and you have branches and, you know, you're a name. But as I've watched over time, and now specifically today, there's a much greater desire of employees, of the leaders, and of the communities themselves to come together and have programs to allow us to be able to provide services in communities. So I think you see it happening across the board.
Jack, what are you seeing on an international basis in terms of the folks that are tweeting wanting to help their communities?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. We're seeing outside of the U.S. There's more mobile usage, and the company is busy turning on more and more short codes which allow them to use SMS to text messages to participate in these conversations immediately. So as we turn on those short codes, we see more and more people outside, working in their communities and tweeting about it. So for the first time, I think, definitely in my lifetime, I've seen, I've been able to, from my computer or from my phone, see how someone in India is helping in their community instantly, in real time. And that's just inspiring, and those messages get rebroadcasted and they get seen by a larger audience that wasn't necessarily following that individual. So I think the biggest thing is, from my standpoint, we're seeing a lot more of this sort of activity, and people are sharing it, and they're sharing it because they want help, and they want other people to participate, and they're giving directions on how to participate. It's just a great tool to organize folks to come together, and yeah, there's definitely a higher velocity.
If you can see these tweets from your phone, do you worry about countries, and we've had examples of it, countries that are shutting you down at various times where that information flow isn't as open as we in America would like it to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate when these technologies are blocked, and it's not just Twitter or the Facebooks or the YouTubes of the world. It's pure communication, like SMS. SMS is blocked, or SMS is intercepted and watched, and it's extremely unfortunate. But the great thing is that there's always some workaround. There's always some wiggle room within the messaging that allows for that human interaction to occur. So, that there's not necessarily speaking to this particular censorship, but in India, there's this practice of calling someone, and the number of rings that you receive delivers a different message. So you call with one ring and it means I'm coming home. You call with two rings and it means what's for dinner, and you call with three rings and it's like, I'm out of the city for the day. But there's this whole nother language that occurs with these technologies that had no intent for that sort of usage. And I think, in any country, any nation, or any organization that does have a blocking or a censorship, there's behaviors like this sprouting up to get the message across, and most importantly, just to get two people to come together.